Welcome to the MoneyShow.com video network. My guest today is Andrew Horowitz. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you.
Well, you were very prescient in August. You warned that thought New York was really going to have some problems, and unfortunately that came true, and they've been even worse than we thought at that point. So I'm interested to see what things we should be worried on the horizon, and maybe an update on what you think about New York.
I think New York, Governor Patterson came out with some very, very concerning comments throughout the summer and most recently, and it still looks like there's going to be the continuation of a real problem there, and we've seen the real estate just fall off. Commercial construction and commercial sales have dropped off to just nothing, and obviously the credit problems mixed with the fact that now bonuses are being told to us that they're going to be cut by 60-70%, and this mass exodus from the area is a real problem. So I think New York and California, who Schwarzenegger came out with a concerning point a few times ago that said, we need also part of the bailout. Everybody wants to be a part of the bailout now, right? No matter who they are. So I think New York has some really big problems. It will eventually end up being a real good bargain, but investors really have to be worried right now in terms of the municipal bonds. Municipal bond insurance companies are in bad shape. It's a real ugly scenario, but now what's happening forward from that is the continuation of our concern about the financial industry itself, and it's really dripped into, or really kind of gone totally into the mutual fund business that we're really worried about.
Yeah, I can imagine, because obviously we all know that ETFs are giving them, they weren't too worried at first, but now when you start seeing them come up with their own ETFs, they might see the handwriting on the wall.
Right. Well, the other problem is that 401k plans, which is one of the biggest holder of mutual funds, companies like T. Rowe Price, Fidelity, some are publicly traded, some aren't. But the big problem you have is that the options were really, the target date funds have been obliterated, and what was in there were pretty much long-only funds. And people weren't getting advice because that was the whole point of a 401k plan. And now they're opening up their statements throughout October and September and the fourth quarter and saying, what is going on? I'm down 40 or 50%. Fidelity Magellan is down 50%. They should be ashamed of themselves. It's horrible. Ken Hebner, who took the front page in Barron's as the mutual fund manager of the century, is down 40, 50% in this year when everything was so great. The fact is they're too fat. They can't move and do what they have to do. They're long only. They're S&P closet indexers. And the problem now is that they've lost an enormous amount of fees, the mutual fund companies. Many of the investors are taking their money, putting it into money markets. Money markets used to be the most profitable enterprise for them. They've had to many of them have to waive their fees because they've taken a big hit on commercial paper. The Fed is now trying to bail them out, but there is a mass exodus. Overall, if you add that all up, and some of the other problems that are coming in, the fact that people are going to revolt against mutual funds, there's going to be legislation, I can tell you right now, in the 401ks. We say, people are saying that 401ks are now their 201ks, and it's pretty upsetting, I think, to most people, and a lot of the plan administrators are going to say, wait a minute, we thought we were going to get diversification here. We saw this beautiful pie chart. What happened? And something's going to be done. I think a lot of ETFs and brokerage accounts will be allowed into pension plans now, and many of these mutual fund companies that have been sitting around fat and happy collecting humongous fees are really hurting. So we've been shorting them and very successfully doing so.
Which ones do you think are most vulnerable?
I think T. Rowe Price is pretty vulnerable because they're one of the biggest when it comes to the pension plans. Legg Mason is very vulnerable. We've seen them drop off pretty badly. Some people are saying that it may be a good buy at this point, but they have one-star funds. Bill Miller really, took himself down after being 15 years at the top of his game. This last year or so has taken him to a one-star fund, and just people looking at funds and how do people buy funds? They look at past performance and they look at star ratings by Morningstar. And if you don't have the performance and you don't have the star, you're not going to get the money. So money's going to be coming out of them dramatically. And then there's Franklin Templeton, we think that also, or Franklin Resources, I should say, BEN, that also is a big problem. But there's probably all of them entirely are a big issue. Fidelity's not publicly traded, but they could be a problem as well. But our bets on T. Rowe Price is the big one that's going to be hurting.
We'll keep an eye on it, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us at the MoneyShow.com video network.